Okay, y'all are being recorded now, just so you know. What do you have to say about that?
Can I say something about the Braves since we're being recorded?
No. This is not stand time.
Why not?
All right. So, for the sake of those who are watching this as a recording, you don't want to hear us just mumble about while we're waiting on other people to chime in online. So, I have got some things going on this date that I just know that you will be totally enthralled with. So, I shall share with you. On this date, what is it, August the 14th, 2024, I got a few birthdays, and I think it's a pretty good list, actually. Kind of an interesting list, anyway. It's a varied list. This date in 1851, Doc Holliday was born. You know, the gunfight at the OK Corral. Yep, so he was a gunfighter. Do you know what his profession was? He was a dentist, yes. And what I found even more interesting to that is, do you know where he was born? It was Georgia. It wasn't Macon. It was Griffin, Georgia. And I used to live not far from there. In fact, at my last church, my music guy who was there forever, he that's where he came from. I mean, yeah, that's where he lived. So anyway, interesting. Also, this date, 1945. Happy birthday to Steve Martin. He's 79 years old today. Born in Waco, Texas. These next two I'm not so into, but hey, it's not just about me. This date in 1947, have any of y'all read any of Danielle Steele's stuff or books? I see them everywhere. Anyway, yeah, for those of you who actually read, but anyway, she was born on this date in 1947, so she is 77 years old. She was born in New York City. And then The Far Side, the cartoon, The Far Side, that's drawn by Gary Larson. He was born in 1950 on this date, so he's 74. He was born in Tacoma. 1959, Magic Johnson. I love basketball. I've always said, and I've always played or watched sports. I don't mean I'm any good at them, but I've always played or watched. It didn't matter to me. But the person that was responsible for me loving basketball is Magic Johnson. So anyway, his birthday today. He's 65. He was born in Lansing, Michigan. This is also Halle Berry's birthday. We do this during the practice round. Anyone want to take a guess as to how old she is? Don't be cheating. You looking at your phone.
No, I'm not. 58.
She looked at her phone.
She's right about my age, but I'm not 58. Over 60s.
No, she is 58.
Is she really?
But she is she looks like, I don't know. To me, of course, I guess it could be Hollywood. Yeah, she looks like she's half that age, just about. But anyway, she was born on this date in 1966 in Cleveland, Ohio. And then 1987, every Georgia fan cringes. It is Tim Tebow's birthday. He's 37 years old. You know, he was born in the Philippines. I thought that was interesting. But anyway.
His parents were missionaries.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's a class act. So that's it for birthdays. I got a couple of deaths on this date. 1988, Enzo Ferrari. You probably know that name. You know, Stan drives one around all over the place. But anyway, he died at age 90 in 1988, and he was the manufacturer of Ferrari. And then in 1992, John Sirica. Y'all probably don't know that name, would be my guess. But he was the federal judge who oversaw the Watergate trials, hearings. He died on this date in 1992. He was 88. And then I got a few things that I thought were interesting. On this date in 1862, Abraham Lincoln hosted the first group of African Americans, the first group to confer with the United States president. So he set that in motion. 1873, I don't know if anybody in here cares about this, but maybe somebody watching out here. This date in 1873, Field and Stream, the magazine, begins publishing. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard more about this. I almost had to doubt myself. But on this date in 1945 is VJ Day over Japan. Japan surrendered. Now, some will celebrate it on the 15th, tomorrow. because the treaty was signed in Japan and it was the 15th, but it was still the 14th here. So we win. You know, everything surrounds, you know, whatever time it is in America, that's the real time. But let's see, two other things. One that's of special interest to me. Y'all don't care about it, but it's space, and I'm fascinated by space. But in this date in 1966, the first United States lunar orbiter begins to orbit the moon. So, and it wasn't too long after that they sent a man to land on the moon. So it went quick. Nowadays, it drags on forever and ever, the next stage. And then, I don't know if you probably don't care, but if you know the story behind it, it really is kind of a big deal. On this date in 1985, Michael Jackson purchased the Beatles catalog for $47.5 million. Now, the big deal about that was he and Paul McCartney were good friends leading up to that. They sang a few songs together, they did videos together, and Paul McCartney he mentioned it off the cuff. You know, you ought to buy that. You ought to buy the Beatles catalog, when really he himself was planning to buy it. And Michael Jackson came in and bought out from underneath him, and it ruined their friendship. But anyway, he bought it for $47.5 million. 10 years later, he sold half of his share, just half of it, to Sony for $150 million. So that's pretty good return. And so you can see why. And he tried to tell McCartney he was like, it's just a business deal. Well, it turned out to be a great business deal. Maybe not a good relationship deal, but a good business deal. All right. Thank you all for those of you who are joining with us. We got a few folks watching online. We've even got somebody watching YouTube. Go team. Love it. But tonight this is our first time back. In case you didn't know, this is our first time back on Wednesday nights since mid-June. It's been about 2 months. And we left off there talking about the book of Revelation. We are going to get back into that study, but next week. And it was part of the design. We'll get back into it next week. If you weren't a part of that study, you can still jump back in because we're going to do a very general overview. Now, it's not that everything we've talked about for months on end didn't matter. It does. But I can get you a general overview to get you caught up to us. That's what I'll be doing next week. And then we'll jump back in. I believe we're in chapter 9 when we start back. But tonight, very special occasion. We sent a team to West Virginia on a mission trip. And I wanted us to be able to hear back from them and hear how that trip went. I was not a part of it, so I'm interested to know how things went. And so we got a group of, well, it's ladies. It's all ladies.
Yeah.
We're missing our man and a half, right?
Yeah.
But they're going to come and share with us a little bit about what that trip was all about and different things that they saw, learned, and things that touched them. And so, ladies, y'all come on up and talk to us. And when they're finished, hang around because I have got what I'm calling a mission opportunity for anybody who wants to take advantage of it. So stick around, and it'll have a huge impact. All right, y'all got the floor.
There's a, yes, watch the cord. What are you doing? Move this over so we can see it. No, I'm just gonna upload it onto Facebook.
Here, have a seat.
It's mine.
All right. One of y'all have a seat.
They're a little camera shy.
Here, have a seat.
That's
There she is. Okay, so we went to West Virginia just a few weeks ago, right?
Sure it was.
I mean, it feels like it's been 2 months, but it's just been a few weeks, I think. And there were 5 of us, and I was the youngest. And
She had to bring that up.
She did.
hey, I got to enjoy it when I can. Come on. But anyway, we go, and we're not really sure what to expect because we had not been since COVID. And the church had gone through a lot of changes over these past few years, and so we really had no idea what to expect as far as how many kids they were going to have. They wanted their adults to participate as well. We just didn't really know what to expect. And so we get there, and Sunday was great.
Sunday was wonderful.
Sunday was great. I did end up, things change there all the time. Like, we never know what we're gonna do. So we got a little shaken up on Sunday, but nothing bad. And then Monday came, and our mantra from Monday morning on became, we're just gonna show up and let God handle it, because we were a little bit overwhelmed, and we knew if we were relying just on ourselves, we were not gonna be able to pull this off. So we were just gonna show up and let God handle it, and God did handle it. Every single day, He handled it. So it was great. So we don't have a plan. I'm not even gonna lie, because here's the truth, okay, y'all.
We're waiting for God to show up.
He's here.
I know.
The truth is, I've been leading these trips to West Virginia for years now. Like, we've been going for 10, and I've been leading them for at least like 7 or 8. Okay, and the first time I led a trip, we were having a party for Halloween, and we were having a party trailer delivered, and we got a shower trailer instead. And so that very first trip, I had all these notes in my notebook about what we were going to do and when we were going to do it. That very first day, it went in the trash. So now I do very, just very sparse, loose,
Yeah.
yes, of what we're going to do. And then God just fills it in, and it's beautiful, because I'm not very organized anyway. So I like it when God just fills it in. So that's what God's going to do tonight. He's going to fill it in. So, all right.
Okay, I'll start.
Go, Miss
All
Ann.
right. Well, Patsy and I kind of ended up being cooks for the week, and we had planned to feed a meal to them every day during the week after Bible school. So Bible school started at 3, and then after 5 we'd have the meal, and they'd have their meal, and we'd fix a treat for them to take home. Well, the first day we got in there, and Patsy and I had the spaghetti sauce done, and I was cooking the spaghetti noodles. Well, here come Pam. Y'all got to do something. Y'all got to do something. Is that food ready?
There's a backstory to that.
Anyway, the point I'm making is what Candace said. God has a hand in everything. So I was cooking the noodles. I said, well, I need you, and the noodles was kind of hard. They weren't done. I said, Pam, they're not ready. So she left, and I turned around and checked it again, and the noodles were done. I can't explain it. I said, Pam, bring them on. So that it's just, yeah. I mean,
Meantime, Glenn and I are in the sanctuary with the children, trying to keep them entertained, and they're starving.
and it was raining.
Have you ever been in a room with starving children? I was desperate.
But anyway, we fed them, that went by okay. So her plans went in the trash can. So from then on, we said we'll feed them when they get there. They were hungry when they got there. They were ready to eat. So then we would feed them when they got there. And we would fix a little treat for them in their bags. And we had figured how many bags we needed. And we had our supplies. Well, I'm telling y'all, the first couple of days, we had the exact number of items to go in those bags that we needed. I mean, exact. Glenn come in one day and he says, let me have a taste of one. I said, I can't. We don't have any to spare. Because we had just enough to fit those bags. So that happened all week long. It just,
God handled it.
God handled it, yeah.
We were his hands and he filled it in.
And we fed them when they got there, so
Yes, we did.
that made them happier.
I found it very interesting that every single day the schedule had to change. For one reason or another, we would twist and shake that schedule up every single day, but every single day was better than the one before. So I really thought that was very cool. Yeah.
It was just full of divine appointments. I love that word, divine appointments. We have them every day. We had a friend that showed up, Trudy,
Mm-hmm.
who was my mother's nurse at, what is that place off of?
Pruitt.
Pruitt, when my mom was in Pruitt. She ended up being my daughter Abby's landlord, but she moved to Bluefield,
Yeah, I
up
think so.
but she's from West Virginia. And, she was struggling with some things, and she came to church for the first time in a long time.
She drove almost 2 hours to come. Yes, and she spent the day with us. She went to lunch and she passed out flyers with us to invite people to the VBS, and yeah, it was great. It was really great. And then we got to pray for her because she started chemo.
Hmm.
I'm allowed to say that?
Yes, you can say that. She would be fine with that.
Yeah, go ahead and say that.
Sorry, I'm gonna be quiet.
No, it's okay. It's okay. She wants us to pray for her. So.
Right, right.
The church building is not that big. It's pretty nice, but it's not that big. When you have a bunch of children, you really want to take them outside. Well, it rained, and it was forecast for the entire week to have
Oh,
rain.
man, yes.
So Patsy got on the prayer team and called back here, and everybody got praying, and maybe it rained the next day a little bit. But
I think in the morning it rained.
it was-
It would
But-
stop by 3 o'clock.
But it was
Right.
always clear for rec time.
rest of the week they could get outside and play.
God gave us the afternoon. It might have rained in the evening, it might have rained in the morning, but we had the afternoon outside with the kid.
It was
like
beautiful,
little
because we
miracles.
much needed that time outside.
Every day, little miracles and love notes. I loved it. It was great.
It was great.
And I love that there's no limit or age. God puts no limit or age on serving Him. You know, from Elliot all the way to whoever the oldest is, I don't know. But
We're not going down
we're
that
not
road.
going down that path. But and they put me to shame. I mean, these two ladies were in the kitchen running circles, and I'm like, I felt like someone off the, out of a cartoon. I was just like, I didn't know how they were doing it, and they kept it up every day. And then leading Bible studies. You did a great job with that, and that was out of your comfort zone, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Never done it before.
You did a fantastic
Very
job.
much out of my comfort zone.
Uh,
The only thing is you gotta be willing to go. If you're not willing to go, then, but yeah, that was that. Every time I've gone over there, think I've been 3 times, I've done things out of my comfort zone. So, anyway, it's just amazing. And you can't understand these children. Like one child, the first thing he said to me is, "I'm poor." And I said, "No, you got Jesus, so you're not poor." And he says, "I'm gonna keep coming to this church, and I'm gonna get a job when I grow up, and I'm not gonna be poor." And so, he was precious. And I think that's one thing, you always gonna take a child home with you. And I wanna say this also, they have talked about community, making relationships. And Sam, one of the girls this is years ago that y'all,
Yeah, she was a young one when we started going 10 years ago.
and she came back to see them, she heard that they were at the church, so she came to see Pam and Candace. And, I mean, that's just special.
It is special. The
Mhm.
relationships we've been able to build there have been, I mean, it's like going home now, it's like seeing your aunts and uncles and cousins and nieces and nephews. And, I mean, it really is like going home.
And then, I'm sorry. Oh, what a privilege it was that Elliot got to go with me. And he got to experience and make friends as well. But he got to see the difference and how blessed he is, and
He also got to serve, though. I mean, he was doing those food boxes, and he would help us whenever we needed, stuff in the bags and doing whatever. He did a really good job.
And then Miss Kathy, one of the ladies who is like, she's been in the church since the church started. She raises her grandchildren, and she's raising her great-grandchildren. So she and I have this relationship, and I got to share my grandson that she shared all her grandchildren with me, and now I got to share my grandson with her. So it was like a family reunion in a way.
Yeah, somebody needs to talk about how great Glenville is. He went off with women.
Glenville is amazing because he was with all of us and he was the only male other than Elliot, who is, how old is Elliot?
He's 7, he doesn't
7,
count
so,
yet.
you know.
And he drove, and we were stuck in traffic.
Mm.
And then he preached,
Yes.
and he did anything else, opened up cans, he swept floors,
Made coffee
did
every morning.
recreation.
Oh, yeah.
Did Bible study with a day's notice. Yes, I mean, he stepped up, and I'm sure some of that was out of his comfort zone. And he played basketball with 2 of the boys that thought they were gonna school him, and I'm pretty sure, I didn't watch, but Glenn tells me, and I trust Glenn, he tells me that he schooled them.
He did.
So, he did,
They went gentle on me, but he did.
okay.
Because when I thought what I was going up there to do, I didn't do. So in my mind, I had a plan, but God had another plan. So God put me outside with Glenn and Rec. If anyone knows me, I don't do well outside.
It was hot,
It was hot.
Yeah.
very hot.
Very, very hot. And, but there I was, and it was,
You did it, you crushed it.
We prayed for rain to stop, but we forgot to pray for the temperature to
The
be lower.
humidity, right, yes. Yeah.
Pam and Candace did each morning, they did the opening and the ending and all. And they put on a skit. They were, who were y'all?
Ranger and
Rocky.
Rocky.
Ranger and Rocky, and they really carried out their parts. The kids were fascinated, and I was fascinated with them too. They did a great job. And
Yeah,
they,
I loved it towards the end. They were going, hey, are you gonna pretend you're at the beach again? It was great. But yeah, one of my favorite things started out to be my least favorite things, okay? So like, we did have a limited crew, and so, you know, some of the tasks that we would take on would not be actually what we would normally choose. So I was tasked with craft, and I like crafting, but I'm not very good at it. And trying to convey to children what I want is not always what I excel at. Okay, so the first day, remember, we couldn't go outside. So these kids are like these little bundles of energy that, have you seen those commercials with like Jack Russell dogs bouncing everywhere, running around in circles? That's what these children were like, and we're like, oh. So the first day, I was like, all right, simple craft. I've got rocks, I've got paint pens, that's it. That's all we're doing. So we gave these kids their rock and their paint pens, and I didn't have like enough paint pens for everybody to be able to pick like 3 or 4, so they had to share. And so the kids loved it, and they did beautiful rocks. They really did. They did a great job. So God took my, you know, whatever it was, my trying, and he turned it into beauty. And then the next day I was like, I'm not doing a craft. We're just not doing craft. We're going to have an extended outside time because it's sunny and they need to get some energy out. So that day I did not do craft because I guess I was not, I don't know, I wasn't there. And then I felt bad because the kids are going, Miss Candace, are we going to paint something else? What are we going to do? When are we going to do another craft? So the next day, now remember, I didn't know what to expect and what age to plan for, right? So the information that I was told was we'll probably have more adults. The youngest child will be 4, but there, you know, probably won't be that many. So my craft was a little geared for older people, and it was a coaster square that they could paint, and then we were going to put sand on it so it would look like the ocean, okay? And so So this was the craft that I refused to do Tuesday, but the kids, you know, they're so sweet and you just want to make them happy. So Wednesday, Miss Ann, she joined me for craft time. And we went in there, we had 2 tables, and this table was Miss Ann's and this one was mine, and we did it. And the kids had the best time ever. They turned out really cute, and it was awesome. So the one thing that I was dreading the most actually turned into my favorite thing, because, you know, they loved it so much, and I was blessed by watching them and Miss Ann, because Miss Ann, she always ended up with the young table. I don't know how it happened.
Well, I hadn't told her this, but after I cleaned those brushes that night, I said, let's hide these brushes and tables.
I love it, that's great.
There was one day that Miss Ann and Miss Patsy joined us for rec. And there's a picture, I don't know if the pictures are still going
They're
or
probably
not.
stopped,
But
yeah.
there's a picture, they came out and played volleyball.
Yep.
With the kids, and it was a beach ball, but they were out there doing their thing,
They
and I
did a
was
great
like,
job.
they were inspiring to me. It was,
Ann can do anything. She can play ball, she
So
can.
can Miss Patsy.
yes,
That's
Miss
right.
Patsy, you sell yourself short.
But any,
Oh, no pun intended.
You see how much fun we have when we go?
And Glenn would be so
It was a
stoic.
lot of fun.
He was like the father of
He
us
was
all.
the father, and we were
He
the rowdy
reined us
children.
in.
Glenn stayed in the activity house behind where we were. We were in the
He was
guest
the
house.
neighbor, he was the neighbor. Elliot called him a
Elliot.
neighbor.
Elliot kept saying he wants to go to the neighbor's house.
Can we go to the neighbor's house and eat?
So that's where we usually had our breakfast and our evening meal.
It was great.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest things for me is leaving the kids,
yeah.
because you want to bring them home, you know. I'm sure that some of them get the love and attention that they need, but then I'm sure that some don't. And having to realize that we can only do so much is just really, really hard. And the news that we were given when we arrived, because I hadn't received a letter that they had sent me, was that Jim and Grace are actually retiring. And so now, you know, this was a very bittersweet trip, because we have no idea what the future holds. I mean, that's true every time, but this time it just seems a little bit more, you know. So it was even harder leaving these children, knowing that that bright spot that they have every single week may or may not continue.
And some of these children, like Seth, we've seen since he was an infant in a car carrier,
Right.
you know.
And now
they're our
he's,
family. I mean, he's Elliot.
he's a little older than Elliot, isn't he?
Not much, I
Not
think,
much?
but,
Okay.
but Jennifer, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
and I
it's,
just can't imagine never going back to see them, so I don't know what God has in store. It'd be good, whatever God has planned,
Whatever
I
it
do know
is.
that, but like you said.
and if anybody is looking for a mission opportunity, they are looking for the next pastor. They're gonna continue to do it part-time for a little while, but, I mean, they're in their 80s, and that's driving 8 hours each way.
From
and-
Orangeburg, right?
Mhm.
South Carolina,
So,
Every week?
every two.
no,
bi-weekly.
they're gonna go up and stay 2 weeks, and then come home and stay 2 weeks.
But
So,
like
that's every
Mr.
2
Tim
weeks.
and Miss Kathy, this is their church. The adults, this is their church. So not to have church for
For 2 weeks, it's gonna be a hard transition, and, I mean, God's got a plan, and He is in control, and, you know, this church has survived on that. You know, there is no other way this church could have survived without God, because, I mean, the finances are supplied, and nobody in that church tithes other than Jim and Grace. So, God's got a plan. He'll work it out.
we're on the schedule for next summer, aren't we?
We're on this, Yes, we're on the schedule for next summer.
But they knew, we told them, the children, over and over, that we were there because our church, Emmanuel, had sent us there. And we told them that there were people back in Savannah that were praying for them and who loved them. So we made sure that they knew that this was our churches sending them there. And Mrs. Grace, she said that she had prayed since she felt like this would be the last Bible school there, that it would be a good one. And she said, my prayer was answered. She said, y'all have gone above and beyond. This is Candace. Anyway, planning. But y'all have gone above and beyond. You have loved these children. And she said, that is an answer to my prayer.
And the children knew. I mean, they would tell me, y'all are here because y'all love us, right? I mean, I think that speaks volumes right there. So,
They requested spaghetti. We had spaghetti the first night, and we didn't know if these kids had had food. I don't think they ate before they even came. We don't know if they went home to food. I mean, that's how desperate it is up there. And every day, when they had a great meal, they'd tell them, oh, we would like chicken nuggets, or they would put an order in. and it's not it wasn't something wasn't out of, a request. It wasn't a crazy request.
it was more like, hey, are we gonna have chicken nuggets? Or, hey, can we do spaghetti again? That was really good.
And I've never seen children eat so much. I mean, it's like they couldn't get full. It was, they just kept coming back.
That hurts your heart, just to know that.
And we had leftovers. Every night and that's what we would have for dinner, but every night we had leftovers.
Yes, we would pray the fishes and loaves every time because
And God supplied
we
that
just
too.
didn't know, but yeah. Yep. We were gonna show up and let God, and God did. I loved it.
Me too.
Me too.
Do y'all have any questions?
Now, how many children did you say y'all had? More or less?
So we topped out at 30, which was Wednesday. So the first day, I wanna say we had around 20.
Yeah.
And then the next day we had a few more, and then Wednesday we topped out at 30, and then it started trickling back down. So, yeah.
I just had the opportunity to go on, and just the immense level of such extreme poverty that's there. I remember when Miss Grace said, just because the outside of the house looks decent, doesn't mean that the inside is, doesn't mean that there's running water, that there's electricity, much less furniture or even food. These people are just so poor.
Yes, one of the things that stood out to me was the children asked if they could have real lemonade. Because the lemonade that I guess they drink is watered down. And so we gave them real lemonade.
Real lemonade.
And that was like better than Coke to them. I mean, you would have thought that they were just so excited to have real lemonade.
And these kids are just so sweet. I wanted to bring so many of them home. Oh my
And
goodness.
Tim says I can't do that.
Man, if I could figure out a way, I would have. So sweet.
You gotta understand, there's no Walmart or any place else, so when Candace didn't have supplies, it wasn't like, I'll just run down the road. I mean, once a Walmart an hour away.
We went to the dollar store.
We went to the Dollar General and we went to Goodson's. And the best part though is God actually supplied a lot of the things that we needed before we even knew we need them. Because I don't even know that you realized, you bought that bird, the blow up bird. It came in perfect for one of our skits because we needed a bird and I didn't have a bird. She had bought one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and there are other examples that I cannot think of at the moment, but I kept going, but we didn't even know we needed that.
Wasn't it the chocolate, like the chocolate, what is that stuff, the melting chocolate that you
Yeah.
put in the pretzels?
Yeah, she had that and we didn't
She
know we
just
needed
brought
it.
that, and we
Yeah.
didn't know that we needed that, but
Right.
God just showed up.
It was great. I love watching. I think when you go on a mission trip, you look for those things. You know, expect those things almost. And when you're in your everyday life, you're not looking for those things and you're not necessarily expecting it. And so if we maybe treated every day more like a mission trip kind of thing, you know, we keep our focus on Jesus and on what his job is for us that day, because every day we have a job for him. Maybe we would see those coincidences, if you will.
I love those coincidences. I had one Friday. I'm so glad for those little cards, by the way. I got to use mine Friday. I was so excited. I mean, I wasn't excited to be on the side of the road with a broken down car. But the tow driver came. His name is Brant. And it has nothing to do with West Virginia. But anyway,
that's
it
okay.
has something to do with being an everyday missionary.
Right.
He is from Michigan, and his home burned down. He was homeless. He came here. Anyway, he was in Awanas. He went to church, you know, and I'm like, I teach Awanas, you know. Anyway, he liked Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, so we had a connection
y'all were
there.
friends, yeah.
So, I mean, it was a divine appointment. Just things that are inconvenience to us is a divine appointment for God. It was amazing experience.
Right, yeah. So hopefully we'll get to go back and we can take some new people with us to watch God just show up, because it's great. Mrs. Stella, we needed you this time. We had 2 little Spanish girls,
Precious.
and the youngest one spoke like very little English, and we had no idea what she was saying. Sister had to translate for us.
And I think she ate more than anybody else.
I think
that
she
little girl.
did, yes, bless her. She was starving. But they were as sweet as could be. So, all right, Lane, I guess it's all yours.
Thank you.
Trip.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you all for representing us up there. Thank you for your report. Sounds like it was a good trip. And a couple of things that they said sparked a memory for me. I remember the pastor that baptized me. I remember a message that he preached, and I can't remember if I stole the whole message or if I just stole the title. Preachers are great at stealing messages, by the way. We just are. But or it might have just been part of his message. But he said, I just remember him saying, I never have forgotten it. He said, it's not about your ability, it's about your availability. And I heard that several times up here. Well, I didn't know what I was doing. I've never done that before. But you just made yourself available. And that's the difference. And so that's not just in West Virginia. It's not when you're just away from home. It's in your home church, and it's when you're in your neighborhood and all that, just making yourself available. So anyway, keep that going. Keep that up. Gosh, there was, I know I've got an opportunity, but there was something else that I wanted to say, a thought that y'all sparked that I wanted to share. Now I can't think of what it was. Anyway, so I do have another opportunity that's on the table, and we really need somebody from out of our church to almost be a liaison with another ministry organization. Here's the number for you: 7,632. That's a lot. 7,632. In this particular organization, that's how many children are exposed to the gospel every 24 hours. 7,632. That's a successful ministry. And you know of it quite well, actually. It's Operation Christmas Child. You know, we put together those boxes every year, and we send them overseas and all that. And it's more than just giving gifts. It's more than just giving presents at Christmas. Certainly, we don't want kids to not have Christmas. Yes, that we get our heartstrings pulled for that one. But it goes further than that. It's an opportunity for kids to hear the gospel. And we now haven't, there is an opening here in Savannah. I've talked with the coordinator in this area today, and they are needing a church who will open up their doors to be a drop-off location. But at that drop-off location, really a bigger deal is to have a coordinator, a volunteer coordinator, lead team coordinator at that church, and who will basically facilitate what goes on with those drop-offs. And it's a 1-year commitment, but it's not alone. There's training that's available, and I say it's a 1-year commitment. She told me, she's like, really through most of the year you don't really do a whole lot, but just in October and November is when things are really at their height, which totally makes sense if you know how Operation Christmas Child works. That's when that's when most of the work takes place. But they call it a 1-year commitment because they're going to continue to give you training and communicate with you and those kinds of things. And so we need someone. It would be nice if we had 2 people from our church who would do that and share that load, share that burden. It's not a burden. Share that ministry opportunity. So, if you are interested, then you can save me from having to make this announcement again on Sunday. Whether you're in this room or you're listening on online, if you would like to be that person or you're interested in it, I can put you in touch with that lady and she can tell you everything that you'll need to do. But like I said, it's a ministry that's going to make a difference in the lives of kids all over the world, and so you would have a part in that, and you would also, our church would as well. So let me know if you're interested. All right. Okay, we got 5 more minutes before Mark starts yelling at me because choir is starting back again tonight. So are there any prayer requests that you'd like to share tonight? If you're watching online, you can go ahead in the comment section there. Below there, you can go ahead and start typing in any prayer requests that you might have, and that'll get to me before we get out of here. What requests we have in the room?
Continue to remember Elizabeth.
Okay. All right, let's pray for Liz.
Richmond Hill.
Just all the...
Elliot's
flood.
was flooded, he can't go back to school.
Huh, okay. All right, Richmond Hill is still flooded, and getting to Richmond Hill is flooded.
And I think it's a praise that Franklin Graham is sending a crew down here to help.
Yeah,
with
it's
Richmond
Samaritan's
Hill.
Purses.
Okay.
It's in town.
Okay, very cool. All right.
Really?
I thought that was
Patricia.
Yes, Patricia Hope is she's at St. Joe's, right? So, let's be in prayer for her.
I went by to see her and this afternoon, and she's gonna be there for 1 or 2 more days, and then she's gonna go to Canyar for PT for about 2 weeks. She has a broken hip.
Broken hip, wow, okay.
And she has surgery. She doesn't remember. I don't know how that can happen, but anyway, that she has surgery,
Okay.
so.
All right, so she got surgery, and then she's gonna have to have follow-up rehab. We just heard about it in the office today, so we'll be checking on her.
And Beverly Purcell, just really pray for her.
All right, let's pray for Beverly Purcell and Alicia.
And Bruce, as he, goes to, takes care of his wife.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't complain about it, but he still needs uplifting.
So often the caretakers kind of go to the wayside.
Mm-hmm. All right, nothing has come in online, so let's go to God in prayer, and then we'll be on our way. Thank you for the day that you've given to us today, and I pray that as we heard up here, I guess kind of when you go on a mission trip, you're heightened to divine appointments and opportunities that are placed in front of us, and yet they still exist when we're here at home as well. And I pray that each one of us would be open to that, and our eyes would be watching for that, how you could use us to make a difference in the world that we live in day to day. And so God, just prepare our hearts for that, prepare our minds, even in ways that we don't know, that we have no idea that you are that you're preparing us for those, but we invite that and we confess that we need that. I pray that we be a people who are available, that we will not get so caught up in what we think we can and cannot do, because you are certainly able to supply every need according to your riches and glory, and so just make us available. Thank you for the time where we can celebrate and look back on the chances that you've given to us to impact the lives of kids and others. And now may our hearts also look forward at what is next. What is it that you want from us? What is it that we can do? And it might be before we get home tonight. It might be this weekend. It might be a year from now. But help us to look forward, look ahead at what it is you have for us. You've heard the requests that we have, the people who are hurting, who are sick, who just need a special touch from you. We lift them up to you. We love them, and we pray that they sense our love for them, and they sense your love for them and your activity in their lives. Again, thank you for our time together tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all again, ladies. We look forward to seeing you all Sunday, if not sooner.